Hello. I'm going to go out on a limb. Not far, however. I'll stay relatively close to the trunk. You're in middle school, or at least I hope you are. If you're in high school, well, you've got some maturing to do. Regardless, you're writing a paper in English class, yeah. On any subject you want. You've chosen to do a paper on creepypasta. Now I know what you're thinking. Jesus, you're amazing at cold reading. Well, it gets better, in a sense. You go to Wikipedia and you notice there are a plethora of sources. You gleefully source all of them and write a paper explaining how creepypasta is a serious genre of writing and happily dispel any rumors that might have surfaced in recent years posted on Facebook walls by concerned soccer moms. What a surprise when you get called to the principal's office for your paper. What's wrong with it? You naively ask with righteous indignation flowing from your sweat like cheap vodka dripping through a Brita water filtration system. Remember, kids, cite your sources with your eyes before you cite them with your C's, or you might reference something obscene. Now, it's story time. Don't worry, I've checked my sources. MLA style. Don't fret and just go with it. I sat gobsmacked and terrified, watching the TV as I saw the lottery numbers were read out, one by one matching the set of numbers I'd written in my dream diary. I didn't win because I didn't enter. To believe they were real would give credence to the second entry in the book, and I didn't want to believe that. But now I had no choice. I sat in the chair, gripping the small handgun in my sweaty hands, staring at the front door, waiting for my wife to return from work. Suspicion, suspicion. I always liked Joshua. He was a nice kid, if a bit slow. He was radically unpopular the way one person always is at school. Too beefy to be any good at sports. Too clumsy even if he slimmed down. Hardly smart enough to stay with the rest of his class. Consistently scraping by with D's across the board. His writing was particularly chicken scratch. He spoke well enough, but it seemed like he couldn't make those same sentences on paper. But I liked his big, goofy, uncoordinated self. Some kids might smack his books out of his hands. Unnecessary, he would likely have dropped them a few moments later without any help, tripping over his own feet. Or slap a "I'm stupid" sign on his back. Again, unnecessary. According to rumor, he had the lowest scores in every subject. And everyone knew it. And I would always help him gather his stuff back up or tip him off when something was on his back. When I woke up this morning, I found a letter taped to the outside of my window. It's not easy to reach the window from the tree branch hanging nearby. Adam, don't come to school today. You're the only one who ever treated me like a human. I'm sorry to say I've been planning this for a long, long time. I knew I was in a group of bad people, but I wanted to see how bad. How they'd treat someone they consider inferior. It was all a ruse. In this petri dish, you're the only one worth saving. Love, Joshua. The most sealed piece of advice. I always loved that Tennyson quote. If I had a flower for every time I thought of you, I could walk in my garden forever. I waited impatiently to find someone for whom I felt that way. Then I met Nathaniel. He was the most wonderful man I have ever known. We were soon making plans for our future together. Until the flowers came. A single flower each time I thought of Nathaniel. And they snowballed. Every time I thought of him, a flower bloomed. Every time I saw a flower, I thought of him. It became a vicious cycle. I haven't seen Nathaniel in a month. I haven't seen anyone or anything but flowers. They still bloom when I think of Nathaniel, and I believe I may indeed walk in my garden forever. I didn't realize I'd be alone in that garden. I'm just in love with the idea of love. I'm Lucy's best friend. Her parents say I'm imaginary, but she knows I'm real enough. We would do everything together, but sometimes she would listen to the doctors and ignore me, and she would go play with her other friends. I had enough of being ignored, so I broke her favorite toy. She was angry at me for a while, but she learned to play with me again. Then Lucy started growing up. Her toys went in a box, and she didn't care if I broke them anymore. She put on makeup and went out, leaving me alone in the dark. I'm watching her now. Shh, she says as she leads the boy into her room. My parents are sleeping. I see Lucy standing in her lingerie, showing off the elegant curves of the woman she's become, while I remain a shadowy child. The boy is a scrawny blonde creature. He fumbles over her bra, nervously removes his pants, and awkwardly crawls on top of her. I watch their naked bodies embrace. They pull apart a few minutes later. Lucy excuses herself to the shower. The sweaty boy doesn't seem to see me as he lies back in bed. He doesn't notice me getting closer. Lucy has grown up so much, but I haven't. When I'm ignored for too long, I still break her favorite toy. Hear me now. Quote me later. Someone's always not going to be comfortable dealing with sifting through sources, understanding how or why what has been said, but just because they can't separate the science of cliff notes from the artistry of a working body doesn't mean you have to be any less discerning. Terrified was written by ecrowe. Joshua was written by Mattpayhan. If I Had a Flower was written by GMRZW4. Friends with Toys was written by Cereborn. Links are in the description.